What if investors say no has nothing to do with your pitch and have everything to do with how scalable your company really is? Today, I'm joined by Thomas Rudy, co-founder at Zero Capital and advisor at Lake Nova Sports and Health Tech Fund. He previously served as the chief investment officer at Lead, a global venture fund backed by the Adidas family legacy that review more than 15,000 startups every year that cross from sports, health, and wellness technologies. In this episode, we'll break down what seed to growth scale companies often miss when raising capital, from team structure to execution risk, and why most good ideas still fail investor due diligence. If you're building in sports tech or health tech in today's market and planning to raise soon, this conversation will challenge how you think about scaling and what actually earns investors' trust. Healthcare entrepreneurs, are you ready to rewrite the rules for your business so you can have more time off, a great team, and more income while creating a positive social impact? Then you are in the right place. Welcome to The Provider's Edge. I'm your host, Sabrina Rumbach. I'm a provider, an international peak performance keynote speaker, and a best-selling author. Let's open the gateway to profitability for you today. My guests and I help healthcare entrepreneurs and startup founders like you break through barriers so you can control your business, control your life, and control your future. This is your defining moment to be a disruptor in healthcare.
Health tech founder, if you're tirelessly scaling your innovative solutions, constantly pitching your vision, and still waiting for that breakthrough moment to truly be seen, this message is specifically for you. The prestigious Health Tech Impact Awards are now officially open for applications. And let's be clear, yes, this is a highly competitive program designed to identify the best and brightest. It's completely free to apply, removing any financial barrier to entry. However, please understand, this is an exclusive opportunity, and not everyone gets in. We're looking for true innovators. This is your unparalleled chance to earn significant national recognition, elevate your brand, and refine your crucial pitch with personalized expert coaching. Gain direct access to top investors, influential health system leaders, and key founders, the very people who can open doors that will fundamentally change everything for your company. You didn't build your company to play small, so stop hoping to be discovered. Apply to be undeniable. Make your mark on the future of healthcare. Applications close sharply on March 1st. Don't miss this critical deadline. Go now to healthtecimpactawards.com. That's healthtecimpactawards.com. It's your moment to shine. Make it matter. Apply today and transform your health tech vision into a national success story.
Today, we have the honor to have Thomas Rudy here with us, and we're going to discuss from definitely the capital raising side. What do you have to pay attention to? So, Thomas, thanks for being here with us.
Nice to see you, Sabrina. Pleasure to be on your show.
Awesome. So let's dive directly into what do you think is the most challenge nowadays when it comes to startup fundraising?
Yeah, look, I mean, there's a lot of startups raising funds, and we're just coming off a period of great uncertainty, some geopolitical problems from Israel, Palestine to Ukraine, Russia, to other geopolitical tensions, obviously, all around the world. In addition to uncertainty around the U.S. elections, which we now have bypassed, right? We are now past that point, and the markets, certainly the public markets, have recovered a little bit, not necessarily about who is the winning candidate, but mostly around that we do have certainty about what at least the next 4 to 5 years will look like in the economy. So as a result, I think this time of uncertainty has made it incredibly hard for startups to raise capital, but is easing up already as we go into the holiday season and then hopefully into an exciting 2025. To me, the main challenge for a startup to raise capital initially is really the thesis, right? How differentiated can you really be in a market? When you're talking about AI, every company is talking about AI. You're basically have to make sure that your technology is sound. If you're a pre-seed stage startup or seed stage startup, your team has to be solid, right? You need to surround yourself with people. It is very hard these days to be a single founder. My advice to a single founder would be find a team, build one, create some co-founders, so that the burden is not just on your shoulders, but kind of spread out, but allows you also to spread your pedigree around a little bit and access capital more easily, as investors like us would like to see a broader team.
Yeah, I think that's a very key component, because when we look at scaling companies, every single stage, there is a bracket, a breaking point. And if you don't even know your breaking point and you just keep doing what you're being doing, and you're going to hit a level that you don't know how to catch yourself when you're falling, or everyone are having the old concept of, we're just going to jump the plane and build a parachute while we're jumping, right? And yes, that is not really good security for investors to say, like, we don't know how risky you are. You seem to be very risky. And that's your point about, we've seen a lot of founders that are by themselves. But they say, no, I'm not by myself. Sabrina, I have a whole board. Now, then my next question is, who are the functional board members and title board members? And then they're like, oh, yeah, right? Like, who are the ones who's in the trenches with you, actually leading, not just strategizing? And if they're supposed to lead your marketing team, they're actually have the right strategy plan. There's the KPIs, not that when I ask you something, you don't even know how to measure that. And the question I get back is, as many possible come to us as, right? Then how do we even feel the winning of success, that metrics? I feel like that's sometimes when people feel like, oh, I have help, I have support. But what is that support that's actually valuable support, where it just sounds good support?
Exactly. And look, one of the other things that I think this problem of being a single founder can be mitigated a little bit. You talked about the board, right? You're almost looking for executive board members that are active, that are incentivized to help, and that take on the role as both a value add and a mentor. But at least, as you're looking for capital, have a team identified that you will bring on should you have the means to do it, right? Not everybody is going to join just for equity. Relevant certain personnel will want to see certain levels of compensation in order to come on board. So as long as you can sketch that out to an investor, you're taking the risk off of our hands. We're always willing to take risk on a business model, on something that's disruptive or something that has yet to be proven. We cannot take execution risk on a team that might not have the right experience or drive or vision in order to get there.
Exactly. I think the navigation part is so crucial, is give us a picture of how you're navigating. And so even for us, every time we talk to a founder to say, okay, it's now about you're continuously to talk to more investors. If you're not presenting yourself in the right light, you can be talking to 100 people and they're going to say no. But if you do your homework, we can find the right ones, really have the true alignment of what they believe, the mission they have in the health and wellness and the innovation space, and you can support that, right? And then when you support that, you're very clear about your competitive market. You understand your own SWOT analysis, and then you can give them a framework to say, this is how I'm going to use the money in this way, not just, 80% going to go to my tech, 20% going to go to my people. Do what, right? Like, give us something clarity. And so give us a little bit about your background before we go further down the road of potential solutions. That how did you come into this venture space and then thought about like, hey, I really wanted to get in front of these early investor, early innovations and be the investor who supports these people?
Yeah, no, absolutely happy to do that. So I started my career, I'm originally from Germany, went to college in the United States to Columbia University, and then had my first job in New York working for a very large financial institution in investment banking, and certainly learned a lot about how to evaluate a company, how to see through transactions, how to conduct a due diligence, and basically learn the tools and understand the picks and shovels of the business of investing in something. Obviously not startups, but very large corporations. But I always had this drive to be an entrepreneur myself, not necessarily a founder, but being behind something where money can work, and I can assist the money in order to scale, basically as an investor. So with some of the money I made myself, I started in 2009 investing in venture capital startups myself. I didn't know anything about venture capital. All I knew was that by the time I had a network, I knew how to read a business plan. I felt like I had a good, almost like sense of believing, trusting the right people, or seeing through whether they're telling the truth or not. So the psychologist in you as an early stage investor is so important. And then obviously the appetite to take risks. So if I had a wealth manager at the time, would have probably gotten a heart attack of my asset allocation, putting effectively all my money into venture capital and not really planning ahead. Got lucky that some of those deals ended up working out. In 2009, my thesis was actually quite simple. We had the 2008 financial crisis. My thought was, let's help people understand better to how to manage their finances. And, with the internet getting better and better and faster, I started investing in certain online platforms that help people manage their money or give them insights on how to better invest. And now that sector is called fintech. In 2009, it was still quite early on. Made more investments in venture capital along enterprise software and B2B SaaS and so on and so forth. But my passion has always been in the sports health and wellness space. And so over a few different stops, ended up now becoming the chief investment officer and selective investor at Lead. Lead was founded by the Adi Dassler family. In fact, it stands for Legacy of Adi Dassler. We invest in health adjacent sports, and we invest in health technology as well, with companies all over the world, portfolio of 70 companies, seeing some great innovators and seeing about 1,500 companies a year.
That's amazing. And I think that's saying a lot about you, being that daring type of person, right? Taking risks. Because all of us who are entrepreneurs, guess what? The definition is be able to take calculated risks, right, and have the courage to do so. So even at my TED Talk, I talk about this, not so much about the gatekeeping that's preventing us from getting to our big dream, right? What I call our own castle, but it's actually how are we able to bypass the mental mode of other people or ourselves, have that doubt, right? But able to take the courageous action, simply say, I'm going to pursue it, and then I'm going to be persistent, have the grit to do so. But at the same time, not getting to the round where a lot of people get overwhelmed by, wow, there's all these opportunities. What should we do? Everybody else want me to invest here or do this. Like you're saying, right? Like if you have a wealth management person in the beginning, they might have a heart attack. But if we trust ourselves in leveraging all the knowledge we have built from all the past years and experience, we can do something amazing. And then that's how we not get burned out and not feeling like the only thing we can win, we can succeed is grinding it, right? We can have the space and then be able to leverage the right people. And even you mentioned, Thomas, the community. And that was my third point about we don't have to be dragged down by the people that don't see our vision, don't see the potential. Go for the next round. Go for the partners that believe in you. Have conversation for the referrals. Have the right people that become our champions to keep moving forward. I think that ultimately that's how we can grow, is those specific collaborative opportunity. And our companies are that way, right? In a sense, we're all partnership. There's no we all benefit. That's how we benefit. It's not like, oh, this money goes here and then seeing you do something on the side, right? There's the intentionality into every single thing. So love your story. And for you guys, now we're clear, is for people who are health and wellness innovators, and then also related to sports. And I definitely have been seeing some of those, especially peak performance in sports, right? That resilience building side. And what's the check size? What stage should they come to you when they're preparing?
Yeah, so we're basically a holistic investor in the world of sports health and wellness. So, and we're a global investor as well. 50% of our portfolio right now is in the United States, North America. In fact, 30% in Europe and 20% rest of the world. So, we're taking a look at companies and ideas globally. We invest checks as little as $100,000 into pre-seed companies and as large as multi-million dollars into growth stage companies in all the sectors that I just mentioned. So we're active. Like I said, we see a lot of deals. Obviously, we pass on a lot of deals as well when you see 1,500 a year. But we are active investors, and we continue to make multiple investments on a on a monthly basis. Some of which we will announce right away, some of which we will take some time to announce in order to spread it out a little bit. But there's always exciting news coming out. And look, the interesting thing is, Sabrina, that I see when you look at 1,500 companies and we pass on most of them, most of the companies we pass on aren't actually bad companies or bad ideas, right? There's a misconception. Of course, you throw some out right away, but the main reason why we actually pass is because it's not a venture investment, it's not scalable enough, or it doesn't really isn't really a fit to take in venture capital money or get like a third party with our return expectations on the cap table. So a lot of times I'm saying to the founder or the founding team, look, you guys should do it by yourselves. You'll make money, you will prosper, you'll do well, but it won't rise to a level of where a venture capital company should come in. And that's where I think founders need to be brutally honest with themselves, right? You're always in sales mode when you're raising capital, and we understand this. But when you're sitting by yourself and you're evaluating your team, what you're building, are you really proposing something to the investor that fits the investor's thesis, right? Am I really putting something forward that is compelling and scalable in a way that the investor can represent to their stakeholders, meaning the LPs and shareholders in our funds? That just makes sense. Obviously, there's stakeholders that we need to answer to and make sure we're within a thesis. And if that's not the case, well, then either you need to adjust and pivot, or you might find a different route in order to make your business work.
Yeah, I think that's very crucial. And I think sometimes people have a misconception on what scalable means to them. And they think they're scalable, they're not. So can you clarify a little bit on that, on what you guys consider business can be scalable? What are those key points?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're not like some VCs that need to find the next unicorn every single time. We understand very well that a company, most companies in venture capital, whether that is a health tech company or any other sector, will exit, if they exit successfully, at valuations under $100 million, right? So if your fund has a return expectations of 5x, right, that means on average, you shouldn't get into a valuation above $20 million, because otherwise you're not going to get your 5x and so on and so forth. So the way we look at scalability necessarily is we're taking our return profile. First of all, we need to be convinced of the founder and the business model, right? It has to be exciting, it has to excite us, and we have to be strategic. But once we have that box checked and we dive into due diligence and see what's possible, maybe the founder is overstating the projections, maybe they're realistic, maybe there's ways we can help, right, with that hockey stick growth. But what we need to see is actually the appropriate level of revenue growth, and then connected profitability, meaning down the line, how do you get to profitability? How do you generate an appropriate EBITDA in order to have 5, 7, 10 years down the road an exit at standard industry multiples that will allow us at that point to exit at a valuation that meets our criteria. So we're basically reverse engineering an exit, and that's mostly revenue driven for your industry. And every founder that comes to me in health tech should be familiar with those multiples. They shouldn't be able to learn those from us.
Correct. If they have to really come to learn from you guys, and they're kind of too late in the game to gain trust in that level. And I think when I mentioned the breaking point is that they should already know, right? They should already have certain things set up in place, such as processes, things that are duplicatable, because most of the investment actually is not just the business model, but what can be done that I'm buying into a whole system. Yes. And that system actually can work. So if they don't have their roles defined with metrics, with to say, how do you even feel there is a win, right? If things are too generalized, then doesn't matter that clients don't feel there's a win or internal people, staff don't feel a win, then everyone feels like they're constantly doing something and going nowhere, right?
Exactly.
So
And look, you don't need to have all the answers right away, right? There's no way if the greatest companies are working on solving problems nobody has solved before, right? And our ideas nobody has thought of before at the same time. So there are unknowns that are even uncomfortable to the investor, and certainly most definitely uncomfortable to the founders of those companies, no matter how they represent that towards us. But you have to have the conviction that those are the right people that figure out those problems along the way, because the idea is so big that it'll catch on and create, as you pointed out, a community of supporters that believes in this and then establishes that. And those are the home runs.
correct. And then we have to make sure that the home run's gonna start from beginning. When you build a company, it's scalable from beginning, not just we'll figure out as we go. Who are
Yes.
the right people to figure out with you now? So then it can be seen as, okay, if you're saying you have a verbal commitment from a district or from a large hospital, and that hospital have 10 million patients that could benefit from that, awesome, right? That is a trust building. But how do you make sure those 10 million actually onboard it? If that's not clear, that become just like a proposal, not a reality again, right?
Very
And
true.
then that system needed to be mapped out. And it can as simple as first month we're just hitting 50 so we can get the processing down, but the next month we can expand it to onboard 100 per month, right? And then I think that's what potentially most people are missing out on, is be so clear, dare enough to map it out. We don't have to see a perfect picture, but we need to see something that's tangible.
Yeah, 100%. You need to see something that's tangible, whether that is a software or hardware. Make no mistake, right? There can be intangibles that you see, but either that or there's some real IP that has intrinsic value that somebody has developed that can be commercialized in a way that's appropriate for, again, scalable venture capital expectations.
Perfect. I know we can talk about this a lot. The
Yes.
last question is always, I believe in women-led company to be able to scale more, to get more funding. And sometimes it is that they haven't really seen through it themselves. Or the debate always, well, we don't have as many women-led companies and we start seeing more trend, or there's not that many women investors in the space. What do you think is the true difficulty in seeing women-led companies within the health and wellness space to actually get to a level that are sustainable?
Yeah, so it's an interesting dynamic. So I'm very proud to say that within our portfolio of health tech companies, more than half of them either have a female founder or CEO in them, and that hasn't never been part of our thesis to have either a certain mandate to invest in female-led businesses or not. We invest in the best people, and it just happens so that a lot of strong female founders have come our way and really succeeded with some of their companies. So that's exciting to see. But at the same time, having conversations with them and seeing the market, we see the challenges that you just mentioned here as well. And I think a lot of times it has to do with just not being enough women out there that just launch companies. I think it's just a numbers game at the end of the day. Maybe a lot of women that have a job that is paying well. This risk-taking aspect of it is not necessarily always for them. You know, a guy would always run alongside of a cliff, and if he falls down, he falls down. Women may be thinking about it a little bit too much, and might actually be too critical on themselves. So I think the ability to take risks, the willingness to start something, there's capital out there that will fund you if you have the right idea, no matter who you are, no matter where you come from, no matter what you identify as, and fortunately right now I see a very positive trend in women-led businesses and women-led VCs, by the way, that are going to see a big trend. And by the way, I know we're talking mostly about health tech here, But if I had to deploy my money these days, which we are in the world of sports, women's sports are really experiencing a gigantic push right now. NWSL, women's soccer valuations are going through the roof. A basketball league just raised $100 million from Lightspeed Ventures and others around from the top firms in VC. And we see more and more of that happening globally. So I'm actually, Sabrina, quite hopeful about what's going to happen. And when we talk next, I think we're going to have a whole different situation.
Exactly. Yay. And that's one of our initiative every year by the end of the year, right? Around the holiday, we push out the impact awards because we see people need to stand out, especially that you already passed the pre-seed round, you have minimum viable product, you start testing trials, whatnot. That's the time to start getting out there, getting community engagement. So we leverage the awards to help you to get those engagement, get the testimonial back to you, show the world what you really got. So for anybody out there, feel free to nominate yourself or someone who you believe in at postpointpass.com/awards, because we have a panel of VCs, experts, consultants who love to take a look at what you have. And through this process, we really believe in giving the people the platform so they can shine and don't be kept as best kept secret. And social media can be very difficult. And then being on multiple speaking spots, understand how to present yourself is different. So we actually, for the winners, we have acting and TEDx speaking coaches to work with you to make sure you are pitch perfect and spotlight shine on camera. So can't wait for all the people that we have coming into the environment. And then for Thomas, right, any of your portfolio companies, if you see that potential, love to support them in this journey ahead. So we know our time is up, and then definitely next time we're talking, gonna be a different arena. We appreciate everything that you have shared and appreciate everyone who stayed on with us. Comment below and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Until next time. Thank you for listening. Remember, the positive change we're seeking starts right here with me and you. If you are a fan of the show, or if you are just having struggles or success that you're either experienced in the past or are experiencing now in the healthcare industry, these matter to all of us. I want to hear from you. Visit sabrinarumback.com/connect and send me a direct message. Talk soon.